Slag. Hey guys, welcome to another Complete Developer Raw. We are here.
Yep.
So I am not drinking alcohol. A little bit under the weather this week, so I'm Gatorating it up right now.
Yep. And I'm back on the low carb thing, so I'm getting the LaCroix. I don't know if I explained how people explain the flavor of LaCroix on
Well,
here.
you've told me that the orange one tastes like
Oh yeah, the orange one is great because you get it really, really cold in the freezer at work, and then you go and you sit at your desk with your headphones on and you sip it and you pretend like you're drinking crappy beer on the clock. It takes a really good imagination. The way that this was described to me is as if someone ate a bowl of fruit salad and then burped into your water bottle. This is the flavor. It's very, very faint.
you've told me that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you said it on here.
So
There's that. Welcome to Complete Developer Raw. Will is drinking burp water.
yeah, that's what happened there. There's not another way to put that. It's just,
That's good.
yeah.
So, in exciting news for me, I got accepted into graduate school, which is really great, except that it starts in a few weeks, and I have a bunch of stuff to get together between now and the end of, this month, actually. Yeah. So it starts the last week of August, I think, and so I've got a lot to get done in the next few weeks. Went over to the clinic today they have to draw blood to prove that I've had my immunizations because, they can't just take my word for it, and I'm so old now that no one can find them. Like I called my mom, and my mom was like, "Well, when I get back from vacation, I'll look for them." I forgot she was out of town. And so I was like, "Oh, okay, well, I called the county health board." And they're like, "Yeah, we don't keep records that old." I'm like, "I'm not that old."
Yeah, that's a pretty screwy thing too, because it's like if you're going to require it, then you got to keep the records.
Yeah.
Sorry, you can't. It's unreasonable to expect people to drag those all over the place with them. People move. It takes about 2 or 3 moves in a divorce, and that's equivalent to having a house burned down with a fire. Like you're not going to ever find your stuff again.
Right. So how about you? What's going on?
Well, I got a new freezer today to replace the one that died. I finished getting purchasing all the things I need to purchase for my workout room. So now I've just got to do a whole bunch of work to get it exactly like I want it, and that will be done.
Awesome.
And so, I've been lifting in there pretty well anyway, but I don't know, there's something to not having piles of junk laying around when you're picking stuff up, because you're picking up 300 pounds, and you're looking and you can see in the mirror behind you there's a pile of junk, and you're like, why don't I pick that up and get that out of here? It's just like it messes with my head enough that I'm like, okay, I gotta sort some of this out. But anyway, it's getting close. I'm gonna be able to lift again like I was able to at the old house. But I have more equipment. I have I have a bench press, squat rack, deadlift area, all that kind of stuff. Before, all I had was a little room, and I could swing kettlebells in there, and that was it. And it was nice. I don't know if you remember that, like the little dinky room that I had.
Yeah.
Like you'd go in there and it was like 20 degrees outside, and it was 20 degrees in that room, and you'd swing kettlebells for half an hour, and that room's like 80.
Yep.
And you just like heated it up because it wasn't very big.
I remember it.
Yeah. So this is way better. I think this is going to get me closer to a lot of other goals. Also, I worked from home today, so waiting on that freezer to get delivered, and so that was really nice. I think I got stuff done a little quicker than was expected, because I was like, "Hey, can you test this?" And then like there's no response for like 40 minutes, and I'm sitting there going, and it's not somebody that waits, but I think what happened is I got it done, and then they're like, "Oh crap," you know,
they weren't ready for it to be done.
That's not where they were thinking. Because I mean, I just like I got in here 6:40 this morning and just lit it up. I mean, I don't know that I've had any caffeine today. I mean, I've been going. It was a really good day.
I made coffee today, but
I take that back. I had tea at lunch.
Oh, okay. Well, that works.
Unsweetened tea. But
Chang gave us a lot of thumbs up.
Yes.
Probably for me going into a master's program in data science, because he's our data scientist friend. So, awesome, Chang. Thumbs up to you too, bro.
Yeah.
So, moving on into, the podcast stuff. What's been going on with the podcast? We got together and organized our backlog.
Yeah, so like our episode ideas, I think we had 178, 168.
Well, there was 178 when we started, but we found some duplicates. So
I think it knocked it down to like 168.
Yeah, there's about 10 duplicates.
Yeah, so we tried to triage and go, okay, well, which ones like do we want to completely kill because they're just not good, and then which ones are really like not feeling it, and then we had like 2 levels of really good. Some of them were like, "Oh, I'm going to do that one right now," which we're recording one of those tonight.
That's so true.
But yeah, it took us. I think we met for 4.5 hours Saturday.
Were we there that long? Yeah, we were.
Yeah, we were there a long time.
Because I got there. It was about 2:45 when I got there, and yeah. But we had other business stuff to discuss. But then we got into that backlog refinement, and just we organized it, and we went through each one and decided, all right, this is a good topic, but we probably should bring a guest on to talk about it.
And my wife like texted me, he's like, "Where are you?" Like, we're still at our meeting. She goes, "Are you not using your time efficiently?" I'm like, "I don't think that's the problem." It's like we didn't really have an April quarterly meeting. Like we didn't do it to the level we should have, and then I think we didn't really do the January one either like we should have, and so there was this pile of maintenance basically. And
yeah, we had a lot to discuss before we got started, and then once we got started on that, it was just we were going to just get started with it, and we got on a roll.
Yeah. And so we always capitalize on that. If we get on a roll, we don't stop until we're done.
Right.
We ride it out, because you can usually do about double the amount of work that you would think.
All right, moving on into questions.
How do you handle a millennial employee who is prone to leaving work early? The same way you handle everyone else. Guys, it's way past time to start treating millennials like, I'm not going to say special, but like we treat them like they've got special dysfunction. And that's not really a good way to grow your talent. That's not a good way to grow responsibility in people. Why is this special that it's a millennial? That would be the first question I would bring up on that one. Now, let's talk about employees who are prone to leave work early. Have you set expectations? In other words, do you go, I expect butt and chair 8 hours a day? If you've not done that, and then you're going with that expectation anyway, that's what's called a covert contract. That's something that comes with dysfunctional relationships. You got to look into that. Now, if you have said butt and chair 8 hours a day, and they're a software developer, you might want to reconsider that whole butt and chair 8 hours a day thing too, because I don't know any developers that work for 8 hours a day as far as like sitting and just like locking in and coding.
Well, no, that's very unrealistic.
Where I did it today, but like on the regular, no. I've got to be at home, and I've got to have some crappy techno music. I got like there's just a lot of things that have to line up. I have to have the caffeine level exactly right. Well,
the other thing is, a lot of people see it as not so much a butt in chair or time in chair as I got the work for the day done.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes I'll get the work for the day done by 2:00, but I'll stay there and I'll do some refactoring. I'll work on some other things just because I need to be available in case something comes up.
Yeah,
Things
so you
like
can't
that.
really step away.
Yeah.
But a lot of that, I don't know, the leaving work early thing, it comes down to expectations, both those that you put on groups of people and those that you have expressed and those that you actually need for your business to run.
Right, and I do want to address one thing on the millennial side of this question too. It was a conversation that I had with a friend of mine that's in management, not in tech actually, but he was talking about how the millennials have a different motivations.
Yeah.
Whereas like Gen X and even baby boomers, you can motivate them with bonuses and money and things like that.
Whereas a millennial goes, it'll just get inflated away anyway.
Yeah. So their motivations are a little bit different. So it might be the training that you provide them, or one thing I really like about where I work is they provide really good training, but they encourage you to learn stuff you want to learn, even if it's not applicable to the job. So like I got to learn Python and take a class on that, and my boss encouraged it because she knew I was interested in data science.
Yeah. And hence you go in for your master's. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And then I can bring what I learn in that back. So it's it's a matter of what motivates them, and so you have to look at I would say anyone, because it's not just millennials.
Because I've
as a
known
group.
boomers that do this.
Yeah.
And I've known a lot of Gen X that do this because that was my cohort. So yeah, and I imagine when Gen Z hits the workforce, you're going to see the same thing. Like you've got to figure out what your employees' motivations are, and then how to motivate them, and then whether you actually need them in the office for that amount of time. Like it's different if they're a support person and they're bailing early, and they're not handling support calls.
Yeah.
Versus hey, they got a full day's worth of work done. And they meet expectations and everything else, I guess is really what it comes down to. Are they meeting the rest of expectations, disregarding the hours?
Mm-hmm.
If they are, then you need to figure out, what the deal is. But I just think a lot of times this kind of scenario bubbles up when expectations on both sides do not match. So that's where I would approach it.
Mm-hmm. All right. Next question. What tasks do typical junior developers do when they are starting out?
Well, they make coffee for the senior developers. No,
Yeah,
not really.
Those are interns.
Actually, our the junior developer at my work does do that. Does make coffee for me because he knows if I make coffee, it's really, really bad tasting, and he likes to drink coffee too. So he's figured out that it's a lot easier if he makes it and he doesn't have to drink the stuff I make.
Nice.
Which is, it's like my total weaponized lack of skill on making coffee there.
On the coffee, though, I will say this about Will. The other day, he sent me a message. He's like, "Oh my goodness, grinding your own beans tastes so much better. I thought you were just being a coffee snob." I'm like, "No,
It's been a week or two, yeah.
Yeah,
'Cause we had
a
some
little
at
while
work, and I mean, I burned through all the bean coffee that we had, like the whole beans, because they bought some by mistake. We
Yeah.
got a grinder. I was like, well, I don't care. And I was like, man, this is way better.
It
I
is.
gotta, and I've been ragging on Beach about this for 20 years, so I figured I probably ought to fess up to it and go on with life.
Yeah.
So yeah, back to tasks. What tasks do typical junior developers do when they're starting out? I would say that this varies a lot. If it's like their first few weeks, they probably need to shadow somebody. Like the senior devs need to get some degree of comfort with where the junior dev is, whatever that is. Because like you come out of school, you may not know how to use source control. You may not know how to use work in a team well. You may have gone through some training that exposed you to pattern soup, and you think that's the way things need to be done. There's lots of stuff, and like I would say the first little bit there, you're just trying to figure out where the junior dev is, and you're assigning tasks that expose weakness.
One thing that my first job, not working with you,
Right.
had me do was I did some shadowing of senior dev, and then they had me write unit tests.
Yeah.
And you want to get a really good understanding of the code base that's already built, write unit tests for it.
Yes.
Because you have to figure out what what you're looking for, like what it's supposed to happen, what it does when it doesn't do what it's supposed to happen, and what causes it to do what it's not supposed to do.
Yeah. Plus,
And-
you have to just navigate around the code base and
Oh,
look
yeah.
at stuff when you do that. Like, I would say the first thing you want to do is basically give them a, just like dump them into a corner of the code base that's kind of a little bit by itself.
Yeah.
So that they get used to the way you guys structure things, the way that you name variables, all that kind of stuff. So that, then they're acclimated before you dump them into the larger system. Actually, you should do this with a new developer, period,
yeah.
no matter what their level is, because it just
Well,
takes so
like-
long to comprehend everything.
That's one of the benefits of when you do have unit testing. One of the benefits of having junior developers come and write unit tests, especially, or anyone when they start off write unit tests, because that's. I went over to help out another team. First thing I did when I got on that other team was I went in and I wrote some unit tests for the code, because that helped me understand what was going on, and now it's sort of my thing, I guess. I don't know.
I've been doing that at work as well on a recent
Yeah.
project, and it's so nice because he can say, okay, here's the new JSON for the way we're going to interact with this piece. I can dump that in a resource file that I've got in the project.
Yeah.
And then I can say, okay, control UL, and it runs all the unit tests in the solution. I can see if he broke anything, within a minute,
Nice.
and anything that I tested.
Yeah.
And then if something breaks, I add a unit test, and we go on from there. So it is really nice, and it's not the testing that it helps. The best thing in the world for me here lately has been like setting a breakpoint and then being able to just like step through just that test. And figure out, okay, I can get stuff into some weird scenario that would be hard to replicate otherwise. Like,
Yeah.
I can do that in the testing library now, and man, it's nice.
Sweet. That kind of answers the question.
Yeah, and there was a rant on unit testing on top of that. So that's how we roll.
But basically, you want to give them, I guess, to kind of wrap it up, you want to give them tasks that help them understand the code base and the way that maybe some unwritten standards, the way that your team develops.
Yeah, because you do have unwritten standards.
Yeah. All right. Next question.
As an experienced software developer, what mistakes do new developers make at your job that bugs you the most?
This is you, my friend.
Yeah, our new devs haven't really, we've got a new one as of last week. Mm-hmm. And then we've got a more junior one that we've had for a while. Yeah, mistakes. These guys don't really, I'm not seeing a whole lot of that. Like they come to us for guidance, and we, it's a very good relationship thing. Now, something I've seen in previous stuff, I'll talk about that, is where the junior dev comes in and goes, okay, I know how to do this, and I'm not going to ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
And they make a lot of assumptions. I mean, I've seen some pretty gnarly code get pushed out doing that, where a junior dev was left alone for 2 or 3 weeks, and they read that, hey, this is the way you do this. And then you come back and you think, okay, this whole project should be done, and they've got like one screen done.
Mm-hmm.
But man, there's so many patterns. That's a bit annoying. That's a senior dev screw up, by the way. That's a senior dev / management screw up. That shouldn't be happening.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know that it's so much mistakes by junior devs. I mean, like, they're going to make mistakes.
I don't think it's so much the mistakes as the attitude.
Yeah. So getting defensive.
Yeah.
That just isn't going to work. I'm going to prank the crap out of you if you do that. So don't do that around me. Mm-hmm. Getting defensive, lying.
Yeah.
That's one. Getting frustrated and then just like getting this learned helplessness thing going.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get as angry about that because anger doesn't help that, but it's something I don't like to see.
I remember when I first started, I felt really bad because they were doing some stuff that I hadn't done before, and so there was a lot of learning, especially the first few months.
Yeah.
And I remember I said something to, I guess, the manager that was there at the time. And I was like, I feel bad. I was like, I'm sorry I keep coming to you asking these questions. He's like, no. He's like, I would rather you come and ask me these questions because the next time you're going to know what to do. He's like, You've not asked me the same question twice.
Yeah, and I'll say this too. Another thing that junior devs will screw up sometimes is they won't use Google.
Mm-hmm.
That bugs the crap out of me. And that's one of the things I drilled on you, right?
Yeah.
Was just this thing of, before you ask me, I'm going to have a certain set of questions. And yeah, so
I know. Usually when I ask Will a question, it's, here's what I'm trying to do. This is what I've read about it.
Yeah,
but I don't
understand. Tried.
Yeah, here's what I've tried. I don't understand what's going on in this particular area of it.
Here's where I looked at the Microsoft source code.
Yeah.
What is this?
I've done that. Yes.
Yeah. And it's like this extended Hangouts, like, boom. And you're going, okay. I can't tell him to just Google it because that's not going to help. So now I have to answer it. But, I mean, that's really a better feeling as a senior dev, because you know that your people are growing. Like, the worst thing in the world would be to be the only senior dev and everybody else be a junior dev, and then 5 years from now still be in that situation.
Yeah. Now, I will say this. There have been a few times that I have sent messages to you and other people and said, all right, I am at a loss for how to find information on what I want to do. What should I Google?
Yeah.
And, because it's just a matter of, all right, I don't know the terms, but
Yeah,
I know this is possible, but I don't know what to search to figure it out.
One trick I use is I have a Google Keywords plugin that I use on my browser that, like if you type for, search terms, it'll actually show you other search terms in the search volume and how much it's charging.
Yeah.
For, AdWords ads on that. And so like if you don't know the word for something, you look it up in Google with whatever you got and that will guide you to the right thing. Yeah, that's a little trick that has been very, very helpful.
All right, guys. There we go. That's where I wanted to go. My finger slipped. See what we got going on here. Oh!
Hey, Ben's here.
Ben joined. So did Alex. Hey, guys, what's up? If you guys are... notification on my phone, too. Well, probably shouldn't pay attention to that.
Yeah, probably not.
All right, guys. So
Ben was a developer that worked with me. And I think, did Alex work with you?
No, Alex... Alex used to do Developer Soup podcast.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what's going on there.
So, if you guys haven't already checked it out, the episode that came out today was White Label Applications Part 2. I can't see myself, so I don't know if I got on there or not. Maintenance. White label applications offer an additional level of challenge over normal application development. Due to some of these constraints, many simple tasks become orders of magnitude harder or can't even be done at all. There is a lot of work in maintaining such an application over the long haul, and a lot of it is work that you might not think about until you've experienced it. In the episode that came out, we discuss how post-deployment and support processes get changed in white label scenarios. We start talking about troubleshooting and instrumentation. Then we discuss how deployment differs, integration points, and the help and documentation involved. Finally, we discuss how support changes and what it does to you. So if you haven't checked it out, check that episode out. Before you listen to it, I do suggest going back a week and listening to part 1, Development.
So the episode coming up next week is why TDD, or test-driven development, is not working for you. There's a lot of hype in the industry around test-driven development. It's tapered off from where it used to be, but it's still, there's a very loud chorus of that, and rightly so. It not only ensures code quality while keeping everything nice and decoupled, but it makes it easier to confidently make changes. I've got automated tests on a lot of stuff I'm working on right now, and man, it's been really nice. I can do just really broad refactorings and just absolutely butcher everything, and then I build and I run my tests, and I can tell if I broke anything, and that's a huge win. But there are a lot of things that can trip you up as you get going with TDD, especially in the early phases when you're not used to it. In this episode, we discuss a few things that you can run into that make unit testing processes in general and TDD in specific more difficult. These are just programmatic issues, that we were initially talking about, but many of the things that cause TDD to go off the rails don't really happen in the IDE. They don't happen in the computer at all. It's personnel issues, management issues, that kind of stuff. A lot of this episode comes from my experiences trying to get TDD working in various environments, including the one I'm in now. And one of the guys actually listening to this right now knows exactly why I'm saying that. So I guess that's about it.
Yep. All right, guys, we're going to hop off here and go record another episode.